Hello, my name is Simon Arneberg, and today I'll be talking about music and PVC, a history of personal experimentation. Throughout my whole life, I've always been experimenting with music and how to make music out of various household items. So this presentation will document 3 different schools of music creation with PVC, being reeded woodwinds, reedless winds, and pitched percussions. Throughout the presentation, I'll also be showing the different levels of progression in each instrument category and how I progressed from a very simple instrument into more complex instruments. So the first category we're going to talk about is reeded woodwind PVC instruments. This started because I got a saxophone mouthpiece for my birthday, and I wanted to see if I could create my own instrument similar to a saxophone or a clarinet. And this is how the xylophone was born. It was created very unscientifically. The hole drillings were completely at random, just whatever felt good on my fingers. They were not scientific in any sense. But I got better at that as I kept experimenting. So the next iteration of this woodwind instrument was to make a slide on it like a trombone so that you could vary the pitch using a different method than holes opening, but by sliding an outer tube around an inner tube to make a sort of saxophone trombone, if you like.
Strong, lift your eyes up, life will still go on.
This next category of instruments is a little bit purer of an instrument. It doesn't require a mouthpiece, it just requires certain cuts or certain techniques used to play it. So these instruments work by cutting a wedge shape into a pipe and then covering the bottom of the pipe with your hand or with some other object. Then you direct the air and make sure it goes right over the wedge, and it creates a whistling sound. These wooden train whistles, although they're not PVC, use the same steps and the same process as the PVC pipe whistles that I showed just before this. And each hole in here is drilled to a separate depth, and this is where the mathematics start to come in, because you can actually calculate what depth you need in order to get certain intervals in the multiple notes at once.
Keep your heart strong, lift your eyes up.
So one of the next things I tried was to make a pan flute, where instead of carving out a wedge and having a reed blow the air over a hole, you blow over it yourself like you do on a bottle. This concept then leads us into instruments that more resemble the classic flutes that we see. These ones that I made, I figured out that they work a lot better for these, to have one end closed and the other end open. And then you blow over the one hole on the left, and your fingers are all on the right, and you can drill the holes to specific lengths from the end of the pipe so that you can get nice even tempered major scales.
Life will still go on.
And one prototype of an instrument that I've been working on this year is this one, where you have a clothespin on it, and you press the clothespin to reveal the wedge cutout with the reed inside that little white part there, so that eventually you could hook up all these pipes together into one central source and have compressed air or a leaf blower or something like that blow air through, and then you can play each note individually, so you can play chords as if an organ. Now the final category that we're going to talk about is pitched percussion PVC instruments. These instruments are very fun because on one hand they're very loud, and on the second hand you can create them using more math and science and get more accurate results. Now the key concept for these pipes is ratios. There's different ratios between intervals. For example, a perfect octave is a 2-to-1 ratio, and a perfect fifth is a 3-to-2 ratio. So once you know the length of one pipe and its corresponding pitch value, you can then calculate out the length required for any pitch necessary to make an entire instrument. Now the pipe instrument that I created is currently unavailable because it's in storage in our garage. But, however, we do have footage from a talent show in high school where I performed with an instrument that was a little bit less complicated than this one.
head up. Keep your heart strong. Lift your eyes up. Life will still go on.